Have you ever walked into a store looking for Pokemon cards, only to find empty shelves or sky-high prices? Then suddenly, weeks later, those same products are everywhere. That's the power of Pokemon reprints, and today I'm going to explain exactly what they are, how they work, and most importantly, why they matter to you as a collector. And I've noticed that there's a lot of confusion and panic whenever reprints are announced. Some people immediately sell their collections, while others wait endlessly for prices to crash. But here's the truth. Reprints aren't the doomsday scenario that many people think that they are. First off, what are Pokemon reprints? Pokemon reprints happen when the Pokemon company decides to print more of a specific set or product that's already been released. Think of it like a second printing of your favorite book. Same content, just more copies available. For example, Pokemon 151 recently got a reprint through booster bundles. This means more product became available to stores, giving collectors another chance to buy packs at retail price. How reprints actually affect prices. Now that you know what Pokemon reprints are, let's talk about something that most collectors really care about: how reprints affect prices. A lot of people panic when they hear about a reprint because they think that prices will crash and their collections will lose their value. But after researching a lot of reprints over the years, I've noticed that something really interesting. The truth is way less scary than people think. Here's what actually happens when a set gets reprinted. Short term. As soon as a reprint is announced, prices usually drop a little, around 5 to 20%. This happens because some collectors rush to sell their cards, afraid that prices will even drop more. Medium term. Once the reprint hits stores and products are easier to find, prices usually stabilize. They don't crash, they just level out for a while. Long term. For good sets, the ones collectors really love, prices almost always go back over time, even after a reprint. Some sets are actually more valuable once the reprint is gone. Here are some real examples that you can learn from. Let's look at a few sets that prove this point. First, we've got Crown Zenith. This set got several reprints, meaning that new waves of product kept hitting the shelves. During the reprints, Elite Trainer boxes or ETBs dropped to about $40, and that was a great deal. But today, those same ETBs sell for $110 or plus, because collectors love the set and it's no longer being printed. Then you've got Pokemon 151, which is one of the most recent reprints, and stores got really big restocks with this set. Even with all that new product, the set's prices kept climbing because it's just a fantastic set with strong demand. At Costco, you could get an Ultra Premium Collection or UPC for $80 to $90, but now those same UPCs are selling for nearly $300 plus. Then you've got Lost Origin. When Lost Origin first came out, booster boxes were selling for about $220. During the reprint, prices dropped to around $180. But now, those boxes are worth over $340 each, proving that great sets always bounce back. Now, what makes a set hold their value? Not every set rebounds like the ones that I mentioned. So what makes the difference? It usually comes down to three important factors. Set quality. Does the set have awesome chase cards that everyone wants? Are there lots of cool cards across the whole set and not just one or two? Does the set appeal to both collectors and players? Long-term demand. Are the Pokemon in the set iconic and popular? Do collectors and players still want these cards years later? Is the artwork and design beautiful enough to stay in demand? Market response. Does this set sell out quickly even after a restock? Do prices recover steadily instead of crashing? Is there consistent demand from both casual collectors and serious investors? When you understand these patterns, you can collect smarter and stress less about reprints. Because if you're collecting the right sets, those cards will hold their value and sometimes even grow in value over time. Now that you know how reprints affect prices, you're probably wondering, do reprints actually make it easier to find Pokemon products in stores? The answer is sometimes yes and sometimes no. It all depends on how popular the product is. When a set has huge demand, like Pokemon 151 or Crown Zenith, even after a big reprint, products fly off the shelves almost instantly. Collectors, players, and even resellers are all watching out for restocks, so the competition is still high. In cases like that, you might see the product for a day or two, but it's still gone fast. On the other hand, if a set has less hype or isn't full of must-have cards, reprints can flood the market. When that happens, stores might have plenty of products sitting on shelves for weeks, and prices often stay at or even below retail because there's more supply than demand. So will reprints make it easier to find Pokemon cards? For super popular sets, they help a little, but products will still sell out fast. For average or low demand sets, yes, reprints usually make it easier for these sets to find, especially if you check stores regularly. This is why it's important to stay patient, check stores often, and also know which sets are worth waiting for. Some products are easier to grab after a reprint, while others, especially fan favorites, might always be a challenge to find at retail. The current state of Pokemon TCG. Now that we've talked about how reprints affect prices and whether they make products easier to find, it's important to look at what's happening right now with the Pokemon trading card game. And honestly, it's pretty wild. Right now, almost everything Pokemon prints sells out fast, sometimes within hours. That's a huge clue about how strong the demand is, and it tells us something important about reprints. Even if Pokemon reprints popular products, prices probably won't crash all the way back down to regular retail prices. And here's why. Unprecedented demand. Tons of new collectors are joining the hobby every day. Older collectors, people who love Pokemon as kids, are coming back to collecting again. And plus, a whole new generation of kids is just starting their Pokemon journey. That means more people than ever want the same products, and there's just not enough supply to keep up, even with reprints. Smart marketing by Pokemon. The Pokemon company is also really smart about how they make and sell their products. They design products for serious collectors using ultra premium collections, casual fans like tins and small boxes, and kids and parents who are usually after like mini tins and booster bundles. They also know how to use nostalgia, bringing back classic Pokemon like Charizard, Pikachu, and Eevee to keep older fans interested, while introducing new Pokemon to attract younger players. This keeps demand strong across all age groups. The market reality. For prices to drop back to MSRP and actually stay there, demand would need to fall a lot. And right now, there's no sign of that happening. Every time Pokemon releases a new set or product, it sells out fast. Reprints help, but they're nowhere near enough to fully meet demand, especially for popular sets. That's why understanding how reprints work and knowing which sets are worth collecting is so important if you want to collect smart and avoid overpaying. Think long term. We've talked a lot about how reprints affect prices in the short term, but if you're planning to collect Pokemon cards for years, reprints actually don't matter as much as people think. When you step back and look at the big picture, which is like 5 to 10 years down the road, the real value that your collection will come from what you collect, not whether it got reprinted. For example, here's why. The original 151 Pokemon like Charizard, Pikachu, and Mewtwo will always be popular. No matter how many times it gets reprinted, people will always want them because they're the most iconic Pokemon in the franchise. Pikachu cards will never go out of style. Whether it's a common Pikachu or a special promo, Pikachu is the face of Pokemon, and collectors of all ages will usually chase Pikachu cards. And then you've got chase cards from popular sets, the rarest and most wanted cards, which will usually hold their value for years, even if the set gets reprinted. Cards like Moonbreon or Charizard Arts from Brilliant Stars are still highly valued today, and that's not likely going to change anytime soon. The sets that we have now will eventually turn into vintage cards as well, and vintage cards usually sell well and hold their value. Focus on quality sets. The secret to long-term collecting success isn't avoiding reprints. It's focusing on the best sets and the cards that people will still want years from now. The best sets usually have strong chase cards, which are cards that everyone talks about and hunts for, good card depth, where even the commons and uncommons feel special, iconic Pokemon, the ones people grew up loving like Eevee Evolutions, Charizard, Lugia, and Mew. If you stick to collecting these kinds of sets and cards, reprints won't hurt your collection in the long run, because great cards from great sets will always be in demand. Why most people get reprints wrong. If there's one thing I've noticed after watching the Pokemon card market for a while, it's that a lot of collectors misunderstand reprints, and that confusion can lead to big mistakes. The most common mistake? Thinking that reprints will permanently crash prices or that restocks will magically make every product easy to find at retail prices forever. That's just not how it works, and here's why. Pokemon controls distribution. The Pokemon company doesn't just reprint endless products and flood every store with them. Instead, they carefully control how much gets reprinted and where it goes. Sometimes reprint waves are smaller than people expect, so products sell out fast even after restocks. Pokemon bundles reprints with less popular items, meaning you might have to buy a product that you don't really want to get the item that you do. Not every store gets reprints, so depending on where you live, you might never even see them. Collectors absorb reprints quickly. Even when reprints do happen, active collectors are watching, and they buy a product fast. Because demand is still so high, most reprinted products disappear as quickly as they arrive, And here's something important. A lot of reprinted product gets opened immediately. That means fewer sealed products stick around, which actually helps keep sealed products prices strong over time. What this means for smart collectors. If you're serious about collecting, here's how to think about reprints the right way. Don't panic sell. Just because a product is getting reprinted doesn't mean that its value is doomed. Great sets always recover, and the best products hold their value long term. History shows that reprints often create great buying opportunities instead of disasters. Watch for smart opportunities. Reprints are a great chance to grab cards or products you missed the first time, often at better prices than during the initial hype. Use reprints to fill holes in your collection. If you can, consider grabbing an extra sealed item to hold on to. Focus on sets with strong chase cards and popular Pokemon. They're the ones that most likely are to bounce back after a reprint. What to expect from future reprints. Looking ahead, not every Pokemon set will get reprinted. Here's what the patterns show. Popular sets like Pokemon 151 or Crown Zenith are much more likely to get reprinted because they're in high demand. Special holiday sets like holiday collections or anniversary sets also tend to get at least 1 or 2 reprints, especially around big shopping seasons. Some regular sets may never get a reprint at all, especially if Pokemon moves on to the next generation or focuses on newer releases. And timing matters too. Pokemon usually announces reprints a few months after a set comes out, with extra restocks around the holidays. So if you miss out on a product at launch, there's often a second chance. You just have to stay patient and pay attention. Smart collectors strategies. Now that you know how reprints actually work and why they don't destroy long-term value, let's talk about how you can take advantage of reprints instead of worrying about them. Whether you're collecting for fun, for your binder, or even as a long-term investment, having a smart strategy helps you make the most of every reprint. For opening packs. If you love the excitement of opening packs, and who doesn't, reprints are actually your best chance to get product at a fair price, but only if you shop smart. Buy at retail prices as soon as reprints hit the shelves. Don't wait too long or the product could sell out again. Don't hold out for rock bottom prices. With Pokemon demand so high, many reprinted products never drop super low. They get snatched up before that even happens. Stick to sets you actually enjoy. Whether you love sets with your favorite Pokemon or sets with beautiful art, collect what makes you happy, not just what's trending. For building your collection. If you're more focused on building a complete collection or filling in missing cards, reprints are a great tool to help you lower your overall costs. Use reprints to lower your average price. If you paid a little too much for a card or product early, reprints give you a chance to grab more at a better price, balancing out what you've spent. Think long term. Remember that the best sets recover in value, so buying good products at a fair price during a reprint is usually a smart move. Even if prices dip for a short time, don't fear reprints. They're not your enemy. They're actually a great chance to complete your collection without overspending. By collecting smart, staying patient, and focusing on quality sets that you truly love, you'll end up with a collection that you're proud of, without falling into the common traps that many collectors face when reprints happen. Remember, Pokemon reprints are a normal part of the hobby. They're not meant to destroy value. They're meant to get cards into the hands of players and collectors. History shows us that quality sets maintain and grow value over time, regardless of reprints. If you're worried about your current or future reprints, just look at sets like XY Evolutions. It was reprinted multiple times, dropped to $80 per booster box, and now sells for over $1,000 per booster box. The key isn't avoiding reprints, it's using them as opportunities to build your collection smartly. So the next time you hear about Pokemon reprints, don't panic. Instead, think about how you can use them to your advantage. Whether you're opening packs or collecting sealed products, reprints often are your friend, not your enemy. Let me know in the comments what you think about Pokemon reprints. Have you ever gotten a great deal during a reprint? I'd love to hear your stories down below.